G'day from Mexico City, the day after the Mexico City Grand Prix. A marvellous weekend for Daniel Ricciardo. Where did that performance come from? And poor Sergio, it couldn't have gone any worse for him on race day. I'll cut it there because there's too much to talk about. Daniel Ricciardo's 7th in the race and 4th in qualifying. Sterling effort. On Thursday he was out in the garage and he was doing some stuff with the engineers, and there was this crowd out the front of about 100 people just chanting his name. And then at some point the chanting ramped up big time, and that was just enough to get Daniel's attention, and he turned to give them a wave. No, he didn't come out and sign autographs, but he was very popular over the weekend. Not as popular as Sergio Perez, because everything in the stadium was Sergio. Everywhere you looked, there was paraphernalia supporting the Mexican driver. He had huge security coming into the track, and even getting from the hospitality suite to the garage, he would have 4 and 5 guys surround him, and they just barrel their way through a very enthusiastic crowd. In fact, security is a big issue here. Almost all of the drivers arrived in the likes of Chevy Suburbans, with bulletproof windows, with security, and that security came into the track with them to make sure that they could get where they were going to. And was it only the drivers? No. Toto Wolff had security, and definitely Helmut Marko had security, because there was all that anger over his comments about Sergio going back a couple of weeks ago. And just to give you an idea how dangerous this place is, on one of the nights of the race weekend, police shot a man not too far from the stadium who was involved in a car robbery. I think this is the most security-conscious race that we attend, and it is quite phenomenal when you come into the track to see all of those police, and even after the race, seeing all the security people lining up to control the crowd. Let's go to race day and Sergio's crash. I was up at turn 1, Fields coming towards me, and then bang, I see Sergio's car lift off the ground. At the time, didn't know whether it was Sergio or Max, until it came to a complete stop in front of me. The next lap, the crowd booed Charles as if he caused the incident, which, of course, you have a look at it, and it clearly wasn't, and Sergio admitted that. And then a lot of the fans just left their seats, and I gather left the venue. Their hometown hero was not going to be on the podium. I was still out at turn 1 at lap 25 when I noticed everyone stood up with their fists in the air, and that was a show of support for the people that were affected by the hurricane in Acapulco. And that brought back memories of this show of support for those who died in the earthquake going back to 2018. Now at this point I need to say thank you to Surfshark for sorting me out with a VPN. Surfshark is an app and a browser extension that allows me to position my phone or my laptop anywhere in the world. In some countries, the likes of Facebook and Instagram are blocked, but using Surfshark, I can log on via, say, Australia and access those social media platforms. I also discovered the other day that using Surfshark on a flight allows me to get to YouTube. Before, I couldn't. And at the moment, you can get 3 extra months for free by using this promo code and clicking on the description in the link below. If you do a lot of travel like me, you need Surfshark, so take advantage of that offer and get onto them now. If you've not been to this race, I'm going to suggest you actually make an effort to come, because it is one of my favourites, except the traffic. My God, the traffic on Friday night, horrendous. It took me nearly 2 hours to go 12 kilometres back to my apartment. But that aside, the people are marvellous, the venue is fantastic, and this stadium section, I think it's unequalled in Formula 1. Every time Sergio went through there through quali, the place erupted. And of course, if you love tacos, this is the place to be. Now, our media canteen food was mega this race. Tacos, sushi, omelettes for breakfast, but even in the paddock there were food and drink offerings. And on Thursday, a number of the drivers took to the piñatas with a fair amount of force and enthusiasm. One thing that Paddock Club people will be a little bit disappointed about is the new swipe gate situated in the middle of the paddock. No longer do the drivers have to walk next to where the paddock people go to enter the track. So it takes away one opportunity to see their favourite driver. Now, I forgot to mention this in my last video. At the drivers' briefing in Austin on the Friday night, the drivers were shown a few segments from the upcoming Brad Pitt movie. And I had a chat with someone who saw it, and they gave it an 8 out of 10, which is great news, because that movie has the opportunity to significantly ramp up interest in the sport of F1. And have we seen Brad back at the track lately? No, last time we saw him was Silverstone. What else have I got on my list? Oh yes, a real life-size sticker of an F1 car, which is used to position the markings for the pit boxes. On Thursday, I also found Red Bull putting up this bunting on the front and back of their garages. Valtteri Bottas wowed us all when he walked into the paddock. He walked towards a group of about 40 photographers, then turned around and did this. And have a look at his helmet. He certainly is a big fan of the tacos, but as Gunter Steiner said in an interview, at the end of the weekend he won't want to hear about tacos, much the same as he didn't want to hear about barbecue after 5 days of being in Austin. Another helmet I liked on the weekend was this of Nico Hülkenberg, featuring a whole host of photos over his 200-race career. Best earrings I saw at the track? Probably these. Were there many high-end watches, considering that's a security risk to wear an expensive watch? Well, there were plenty of lovely watches on offer. Some of these made my top 10 post. There was some amazing-looking handbags, and of course, a selection of interesting shoes. I've mentioned before the fans' passion in this particular country for the sport of F1, and I did have to laugh when I saw some lip marks on the window of Alex Albon's car. I'm not sure who put them there. Maybe it was his girlfriend Lily. She was at the track with him. Other girlfriends and wives to attend the race. Yes, we had Valtteri Bottas's girlfriend Tiffany Cromwell. Carlos Sainz's girlfriend Rebecca Donaldson was there, chatting with Charles' girlfriend Alexandra, and also walking the paddock on a number of occasions. They're getting on well. Pierre Gasly's girlfriend Kika, I only saw her on one day. Carmen accompanied George into the paddock on a number of days, and Nico Hülkenberg's wife Egle was there with their beautiful daughter dancing around in the garage prior to the start of the race on Sunday. Now, a couple of fun moments from the weekend. I was walking back photographing Lando Norris, and he'd just come off the grid where he'd done the driver's parade. And out of nowhere, George Russell loomed over Lando's right shoulder, thrust his phone into Lando's face and shouted, "Lando, photo, photo," because that's typically what the locals say, and a lot of them say it. There was only me and a video cameraman, so I was thankful that I managed to capture these shots. They really are a great couple. Lewis Hamilton launched a new non-alcoholic tequila last week. Perfect timing, of course. This is the product. And very cleverly, he arrived into the track on Thursday carrying a bottle in his hand. And then when he went from the hospitality suite to the TV media pen, he walked with a glass. And he drank from that glass throughout most of the interviews that he did. This is classic product placement, and he's the master of it. Out on track, I decided to try some multi-exposures, and that's when you set the camera up to take 4 or 5 or 6 exposures on the one frame. Get some pretty interesting results, and we shoot these through a photographer's window. And as you can see here, this sign is missing a possessive apostrophe. Still on the subject of Carlos Sainz, he was sick on Thursday. I gathered something was wrong when I saw Charles with Robert Schwartzman doing a fun piece for the social media in the middle of the paddock, and I asked around, and very quickly it became evident that he was ill, but recovered enough to set the second fastest time on Saturday in quali. And I was thrilled to be this close to Carlos when he came over and had a chat with his crew, because it's not often we get to see a big beaming smile on Carlos's face. Going back to Friday for FP1, there were 5 F2 drivers in cars. Now, I'm not sure that they've ever had 5 in a session before, not in my time. Of course, we had Oliver Behrman, lovely kid. He was chomping a banana on his way into the garage. Jack Doohan was pretty excited with his time in the car. Théo Pourchaire was the 3rd driver. Frederick Vesti, the 4th, and a fella I'd never seen before, Isaac Hadjar, took up the final position in an AlphaTauri, and they all fared pretty well. What about out on the grid on Sunday? Not too many celebrities, although we did have Jay Balvin and his wife Valentine, and she's considerably taller than him and had a beautiful jacket on. I asked her about the jacket, and she said that's actually Jay's. And for those of you who don't know Jay Balvin, he's a very popular Colombian singer. I photographed him back in Miami earlier this year, and those images were very popular on social media and general media. Now, from time to time, circuits give us gifts, and the gifts we got this weekend were absolutely mega. They came in this backpack, which is pretty snazzy, and included a bottle of wine, 2 tubes of sunscreen, one of these for keeping your drinks hot or cold, a circuit keyring, this nice poncho, and this race spec t-shirt. Thank you to the organisers for those treats. I'll just talk quickly about food. I enjoyed the most beautiful Wagyu steak in the F1 garage. This is a very expensive and exclusive corporate facility that's actually in pit lane. It's right next to the Williams garage, but sometimes it's right next to Red Bull. So it's either one end or the other. And on Friday night, after my long trip back from the track, I headed over to a restaurant called Dante for a standout meal, and it's a very elegant part of the city. Sometimes I'm surprised at what I noticed, and over the weekend I did notice that Valtteri Bottas, when he holds his partner's hand, he does it very lightly. It's a very loose grip. And out on the grid on Sunday, I noticed that Esteban's trainer, he was very meticulous in the way he placed all of Esteban's gear on a plastic sheet. Lewis's fashion over the weekend. Here are 4 outfits. Daniel Ricciardo came in very casually dressed on one of the days. Oh, and I did ask Daniel to show me his scar from his operation on his left hand, and it appears to be going well. Certainly didn't do him any harm in the car on Sunday or Saturday. But the most interesting outfit, well, it wasn't really an outfit, it was more like a headdress, was Pierre Gasly's wrestling mask. Was it his idea? Yes, it was. And it was one of my most popular posts of the weekend. Not my most popular, that was reserved for this post of Carlos after quali on Saturday. Pato O'Ward was in the house and certainly very popular with the media and fans. Caught up with Martin Garrix out on the grid. Martin also posed for this picture with Jay Balvin. A couple of things before I leave you. Liam Lawson's signed prints went very well over the weekend. There are still a number left, but you will have a reduced choice when it comes to the number out of 50 that you select. 2 other things regarding Lando Norris. I did capture these funny pictures with Lando with his hat pulled down over his eyes at one stage after one of the sessions, and there was a beautiful piece of artwork on the media centre that when a driver walked through, if you got him at the right spot, their head would cover the circle. And I was lucky enough to get Lando Norris in that position on Saturday morning. Tomorrow I'm going to Sao Paulo on Aeromexico business class, but for my travel video, I'm taking all my own bedding. I've been out on a shopping spree here in Mexico City, and I think you'll enjoy the video. Hopefully they'll let me onto the plane with all of the stuff that I've got, but I'm going to dress up my business class suite into what will be very much like my bedroom. If you are subscribed to the channel and you've got notifications on, you will automatically be notified when that video goes up. Mexico City, thank you for 6 lovely days so far. Staying where I am right now in Polanco is a real joy. And as I said earlier, this race is a ripper. And if you don't mind the traffic on a couple of nights, I think it's well worth the visit. See this stuff here? It's all worth having a look at. Thanks for watching.
And stay passionate!
Ah, boy, what's next?